5 years into the Iraq War. Where did all the news go? Next on Global Pulse. Today on Global Pulse, we look at how media worldwide are covering this story. Lara Logan, chief foreign correspondent for CBS News, appeared on The Daily Show, highlighting a problem she and other journalists face covering the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Do you have to fight for airtime? Do you say, I've got the scoop, and they're like, geez, I'd love to help you, but Brittany's back in rehab. But how hard is it to get those stories on?
It depends. It goes in cycles. You know, this is an election year, so politics all the time. And you hear that people are tired of hearing about the war, so you have to fight against that. But generally what I say is, I'm holding the armor-piercing RPG. It's aimed at the bureau chief, and if you don't put my story on air, I'm going to pull the trigger. That's work.
Her comments led to a whirlwind of opinions and blogs, and a piece in the New York Times by Brian Stelter, which confirmed her assertions. According to data compiled by Andrew Tyndall, a television consultant who monitors the 3-network evening newscast, coverage of Iraq has been massively scaled back this year. For example, on the very day that Ms. Logan appeared on The Daily Show, there was a deadly bombing in Iraq, as covered by several foreign news outlets.
Meanwhile, a car bombing in Baghdad has killed 51 people and injured 75 others.
The explosion in a mainly Shiite area of the city engulfed nearby shops and residential flats.
داخل موقف مزدحم للحافلات في حي الحرية.
Police say it was the worst attack in the Iraqi capital for months.
The blast set fire to about 20 shops and leveled a multi-story building.
But out of the 3 major U.S. nightly newscasts, CBS and ABC News both focused on the Midwest floods, oil and energy issues, and gay rights. NBC was the only one to mention the Iraq bombing.
It's generally believed there's been a let-up in the violence of late in Iraq, that is, until today.
The car bomb ripped through the mostly Shiite area of North Baghdad called Al-Hurriya. The car parked next to a bus stop at rush hour and near outdoor market full of evening shoppers.
Is this blatant lack of coverage a recent phenomenon? No, according to the Project for Excellence in Journalism. As this graph shows, U.S. coverage of the war in Iraq has been in decline since January 2007, most drastically after September 2007, when General Petraeus announced the results of the surge and coverage of the U.S. presidential primaries began. Bloggers wrote about Ms. Logan's comments and the New York Times article on many well-known sites like Truthdig, Gawker, and the Huffington Post, expressing a variety of opinions. Huffington Post quotes the blog Obsidian Wings, who breaks it down.
We owe both Iraqis and our troops more than 181 weekday minutes for all 3 networks. That's about 2 minutes of Iraq coverage per network per week, and that's far too little.
Several other blogs like Stratosphere and Powerline blame the lack of coverage on media bias. Powerline says,
the change may be due in part to the fact that network executives are more excited about publicizing apparent failure in Iraq than success there.
But as ABC News shows, violence and failure are not the only stories shown from Iraq.
The Iraq war is not over, but according to today's report, the situation on the ground has improved substantially in the past year. Civilian deaths are down 75% since last July. Total security incidents are at their lowest level in over 4 years. And the report notes that many Iraqis are now settling their differences through the political process rather than with violence.
Regardless of why TV coverage of the Iraq war has dwindled, Lara Logan sums up the importance of continued reporting in Iraq.
Do you watch the news that we're watching
No.
in the United States? Do you see what we're hearing about the war? Do you?
No.
So we might actually know everything.
If I were to watch the news that you're hearing in the United States,
Yes.
I'd just blow my brains out because it would drive me nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
For Global Pulse, this is Erin Coker.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only US network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.